I am Brad Leavitt, president of AFT Construction. Thanks for tuning in to our channel today. We're going to be talking about pre-construction. So some of the things to think about when you're working on a new custom home, things to consider, especially as it relates to that planning portion. So when you're thinking of a lot to purchase, or the client is, and you're working through that pre-construction, it's real important to understand what utilities you have to deal with. Some municipalities, some lots of land that they'll purchase already have utilities from the developer up to the site themselves, and some don't. And it could be rural, so you may work with a well. Even here in Scottsdale and Phoenix, we deal with all those different scenarios. So it's real important to sit down with your architect and your engineers, especially your civil engineer, from the beginning to understand what are the costs associated with this lot, especially as you're counseling or consulting your client. When they're thinking about purchasing a lot, they need to understand, do they have to pay for a septic tank? Do they have to pay for propane because there's no gas, no sewer to the house? Electrical typically is nearby, at least for us where we're at. Do they have water to the house? Does there need to be a well? And then from there, you have to really understand, meet with the utility companies to understand, okay, per plan, it may show that they do have utilities to the lot, but we found in most cases that I wouldn't say most cases, but in some cases they've been abandoned or they're being used for other neighbors, and we have to have tie-ins to other parts of the development, which can increase the cost for the client. In this case specifically, we do have power running through the lot, but the utility company had that spec for the neighbors. They wanted us to come across the street. Well, you have to consider the cost to now trench across the street, repair the street, you know, the traffic control that has to do with cutting into the street, and then of course where it comes on the property. So make sure you understand those costs and what is there on the lot, and then make sure you're doing your due diligence to get some preliminary budgets, because the last thing you want to do is commit to a client that you're going to have $5,000 for utility tie-ins and it ends up being $25,000. So now as we walk around, another thing that's important for trenching, you need to understand on this house, on this layout, okay, well, we know that we have utilities we're bringing in, or we're bringing in sewer and propane. Well, in correlation to the house, what side of the house are we putting it on? Because that'll change the run and the utility trenching. So there was a lot of strategy here in this house. You can see on the side is where we put the SES electrical panel and the main water. So if we take you around, you can see that. Here's our SES panel, along with our AC condensing units and our main water. So another thing to consider when you're putting in your utilities, well, you have to have access. So with a propane tank that needs to be refilled, if you have a septic tank that has to be emptied, you want to make sure you have access for the trucks that come in, as well as have it hidden in the landscape. So although it seems here in the front of the house, the main walkway is going to be over here, this is on the decorative landscape, and that's going to be hidden. So that way as clients and guests come through, they won't see the tie in there for propane and septic. So we're out here at the back patio, and again, one thing we've discussed with all of our clients out here is that indoor-outdoor living. Today we're pretty fortunate. You see behind me, it's a little overcast today. We don't get a lot of these days in Phoenix because typically when we have rain, it's monsoon season, so it comes in, it leaves. But these next 3 days, we're gonna have some cloudy weather. But for the most part of the year, we have a lot of sun here. So you can see one of the design elements in this house is this large covered patio. And that's something we do on all of our custom homes because we have a lot of natural light here in the desert. So you can see here that this covered patio is going to have a stucco lid, hence the reason we have the Dens glass up there. And the fascia is all prepped for that metal fascia, and the brown coat's been installed. So one thing you'll notice, if you look closely, you'll see that we have full boarding up right now at all of the Pella windows and the multi-slider. The reason we do that is you can see that the concrete company's been here, and they've already been prepping the slab that's going to be poured. So we're going to be pouring a concrete slab here on the back patio, and that's to protect overspray from getting on our windows and doors, so it doesn't damage them, as well as we don't have to clean them. So it's a nice protection there. And then as they pour this patio, what will happen is that we'll actually set pavers on top of that concrete. So the concrete is the sub base, and then we'll bring that tile all the way out through the house. So we have a nice flush transition there at the multi-slider. And as it comes out to the pool, that tile will now turn into the pool coping that goes around the pool, especially right here at our negative edge. One thing we deal with on all homes is you deal with erosion. So there's a couple ways to do that. You can see here that we have these drains, these patio drains, and we've installed rocks, you know, around these so it protects as water's coming out. It softens the movement and the impaction of that water to the soil. So you have less erosion, less runoff, and it really slows that down. One thing that we'll give credit to Matt Reisinger, something he does, is around the house, especially where he's at, where they get a lot of rain. If they're doing a light stucco, one thing that can hurt the house is all that rain gives you that upsplatter of mud and dirt onto the stucco, so it can stain the bottom part of the house. So another technique is to put mulch or something that'll soften the water as it rains around the house, so it doesn't splash up onto the house and put that mud on the bottom. Thanks for tuning in, guys, to our AFT Construction channel. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and of course, have a great day.